Airwolf.
What was it like filming in full costume inside the Airwolf Soundstage Mock-up?
I want to talk a little bit about the mock-up on the stage at Universal. It would be probably stage 28. We would do process shots for anything that we did. We also shot the lair on stage 27. But we would have to be in our flight suits and in our helmets. We would get into the mock-up, and usually I would climb into the back to be back there, to be the engineer. Those days, I always look forward to them. I didn't mind them much at all because we were in one place, and it was fairly easy to get back to my dressing room or to hair and makeup, or if we had a break in the day, I could get my flight suit off and walk to the commissary. So being on the lot for me was great, and it was also less than 5 minutes from my house. It would sometimes get a little bit hot because you couldn't run the air conditioning and or a fan while we were shooting. But as soon as we stopped filming, they turn off the red light and they turn on whatever fans or air conditioning they could to cool it down. And so you could take your helmet off for a minute and then get it back on. I also liked being able to wear my helmet because I didn't have to do my hair that day. You know, we didn't have to worry about it because nobody was going to see it. They were just going to see my eyes. And then as far as being in our flight suits, the guys had it a little bit easier because they had two-piece flight suits. So on those particular days, they'd argue with the costumers and say, you're not going to see my legs. You know, I'm just going to wear my jeans or my slacks and the top. But my original flight suit was one of Jan-Michael Vincent's that had been cut down, and he got a new suit. And it was a two-piece suit, which meant, you know, you had the slacks that came on and you zip them up, and then the shirt had to be tucked in and pulled tight with that black utility belt that pulled the whole thing together. Well, I guess guys are more just straight up and down, and so it was a little bit easier to keep the thing intact and not keep coming out. That was my only difficulty originally with that two-piece flight suit, was that moving around and having a different kind of shape to my body, parts of the shirt would jump out of the pants. So that was kind of difficult. Now, they made me an absolutely stunning single-piece flight suit, but the fabric was not very forgiving. It did not stretch. That was a little bit difficult coming back after lunch. I put the flight suit back on and be a little bit tighter, a little bit more uncomfortable. But it did look good. It looked really good, my second suit. I was always in the full suit, obviously. I didn't mind wearing the pants. I find that a costume, for me, also gives me some insight into the character and who I'm playing. And so having on the full flight suit, whether it was the two-piece or the single-piece, and the boots, and the helmet, made me the pilot, Caitlin. I always kind of liked to be in full gear when we were in there. A few times they'd release the guys because they were in the front and it was easy to get out. And they'd say, we're just going to be 5 minutes, Jeannie, so just hang out back there. We'll bring you a bottle of water or whatever. And I would. And then when I was in the front seat, that was even more exciting because now in my actor brain, I got to play out whatever was happening in front of me to the full of my ability. It was great fun to imagine what was happening outside of the chopper. So those days were pretty good. We had a lot of people come by to look at the chopper. People from other sets who knew that we were shooting that day might come by to see her. They wanted to see her more than they wanted to see any of us. And that was always kind of fun too, because then I got to run into people. Kevin Costner came by. Kevin and I had gone to college together. He heard we were on the lot and on the soundstage, and so he came by, which was great fun. We weren't the circus then. We really were the feature film on the lot shooting that day. It was still exciting. You can't get much more exciting than sitting in the lady, whether she's a mock-up or the real thing.
Airwolf will continue.